I used to think I was doing everything right. I'd wake up, grab a healthy breakfast bar, and sip on juice, convinced I was fueling my body for a long, vibrant life. But when I finally looked at my health data, I realized I was falling for a massive deception. I wasn't actually eating healthy. I was falling for clever marketing that was secretly making my body work twice as hard to stay young. It felt like I was putting the wrong fuel in a high-performance engine, and it was starting to show in my energy levels and how I felt every morning. The truth is, many of the foods we are told to eat for health are actually hidden aging traps that cause silent damage inside ourselves. This healthy deception creates a constant cycle of feeling tired, looking older than we should, and wondering why all our hard work isn't paying off. I've spent months cutting through the noise to find out which staples are actually sabotaging our longevity.
If you've ever felt like you're doing all the right things but still not seeing the results you want, this video is exactly what you need to hear. Before we dive into the 3 biggest offenders, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let me know which city or country you're watching from. It's amazing to see this community growing globally. And if you're ready to stop guessing and start taking real control over how you age, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm sharing everything I've learned about turning back the clock, and I don't want you to miss a single step. I used to walk down the dairy aisle and reach for the low-fat or fat-free fruit yogurts, thinking I was making the smartest choice for my heart and my waistline. It seems logical. Less fat should mean a healthier body, right? But what I didn't realize at the time was the massive flavor gap that food companies have to fill when they remove the fat.
To make that yogurt taste good, they almost always pump it full of added sugars, thickeners, and artificial syrups. By choosing the low-fat version, I was unknowingly trading healthy, satiating fats for a sugar bomb that sent my insulin levels through the roof before I even finished my breakfast. This constant flood of sugar doesn't just affect your weight. It triggers a destructive process called glycation that I now think of as internal caramelization. When you have too much sugar in your bloodstream, those sugar molecules attach themselves to your proteins, including the collagen that keeps your skin firm and the fibers that keep your arteries flexible. This creates biological rust that makes your tissues stiff and brittle. Every time I ate one of those healthy, low-fat yogurts, I was essentially giving my body the raw materials to create more wrinkles and less elastic blood vessels. It was a perfect example of a food that looked good on a marketing label, but was actually accelerating my aging process from the inside out. The turning point for me was switching to plain, full-fat Greek yogurt and adding my own fiber, like chia seeds or a few berries. When you keep the natural fat in the yogurt, it slows down the absorption of sugar, meaning you don't get that massive spike and crash that leaves you hungry and tired an hour later. Plus, full-fat dairy contains specific nutrients that your body needs to absorb vitamins like A, D, and K. Once I stopped fearing the fat and started fearing the hidden sugars, my skin looked clearer and my energy stayed stable all morning. If you want to protect your youth, stop letting low-fat labels trick you into consuming the very thing that is aging you the fastest. For a long time, I fell for the marketing that labeled vegetable oils like canola, soybean, and corn oil as heart-healthy alternatives to traditional fats.
I used them in everything, thinking I was protecting my arteries. But as I dug deeper into the science of how our bodies actually process these oils, I realized I was making a huge mistake. Most of these oils are highly processed and packed with omega-6 fatty acids that are incredibly unstable. When these oils are exposed to heat, or even just sitting on a shelf, they can become oxidized, which is just a fancy way of saying they go rancid. When you consume them, you aren't just eating fat, you're inviting a wave of inflammation into your system that acts like biological rust on your cells. I started to think of these oils as a clog in my cellular machinery. Every cell in your body is surrounded by a membrane made of fats, and your body uses the fats you eat to build those walls. When I was consuming these unstable seed oils, my body was literally building my cell membranes out of weak bricks. This makes your cells more fragile and less efficient at producing energy.
I noticed that when my diet was high in these processed oils, I felt more sluggish and my skin didn't have that healthy glow. It's because my mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside my cells, were struggling to function in an environment filled with inflammatory noise caused by these low-quality fats. The biggest shift happened when I decided to clear my pantry of these liquid aging oils and replace them with stable ancestral fats like extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, and grass-fed butter. The difference wasn't just internal, it was visible. My brain fog lifted, my joints felt better, and my energy levels became much more consistent throughout the day. By making this one simple swap, I stopped feeding the fire of chronic inflammation that accelerates aging. If you want to stay young, you have to stop building your body with cheap oils and start giving it the high-quality fats it needs to stay flexible, resilient, and vibrant for the long haul.
I used to believe that starting my day with a tall glass of freshly squeezed orange juice or a green fruit smoothie was the ultimate health move. I saw it as a concentrated shot of vitamins and antioxidants that would keep me young. But when I looked at the metabolic data, the reality was a shock. When you juice a fruit, you are essentially stripping away the fiber, the natural brake that slows down sugar absorption, and leaving behind a concentrated dose of liquid fructose. Without that fiber, the sugar hits your system instantly, forcing your liver to process a massive load all at once. I realized that while I thought I was cleansing my system, I was actually overwhelming my metabolism. The problem with this liquid sugar is that fructose is processed almost entirely in the liver, very similar to how alcohol is handled. When you flood your liver with juice, it often can't keep up, leading it to store that excess energy as fat. This can trigger a fatty liver response and create systemic insulin resistance, which is a primary driver of rapid aging. I started to notice that after my morning juices, I would experience a massive energy crash by midday. That's because my body was riding a sugar roller coaster, creating internal stress and inflammation that eventually shows up as dull skin and physical fatigue. It was a classic case of a health habit that was actually making my internal systems age faster than they should. Now I've made a non-negotiable rule. I eat my fruit, I don't drink it. By eating a whole apple or an orange, you get the essential fiber that feeds your gut microbiome and ensures the sugar is released slowly and safely into your bloodstream. This one shift changed everything for my daily focus and my long-term health markers. I stopped seeing fruit as just a source of vitamins and started seeing it as a package deal, where the fiber is just as important as the nutrients.
If you want to keep your liver healthy and your energy levels youthful, stop falling for the juice cleanse trap and start giving your body the whole food it was designed to handle. To really understand why these foods are so dangerous, we have to look at a biological process I call internal browning, known scientifically as glycation. Think of it like this. When you cook a piece of meat or toast a slice of bread, it turns brown and becomes stiff. That's the Maillard reaction. A very similar thing happens inside your body when your blood sugar is constantly elevated from those healthy yogurts or juices. The excess sugar molecules floating in your blood start sticking to your proteins and fats, creating junk molecules called AGEs, which stands for Advanced Glycation End Products, appropriately named because AGEs are exactly what they do to your body. I started to view these AGEs as a form of biological glue that gums up the works.
One of the primary targets of glycation is your collagen. In a young, healthy body, collagen is flexible and resilient, which is why your skin looks plump and your joints feel smooth. But when glycation takes over, it creates cross-links between those protein fibers, turning them from flexible rubber bands into stiff, brittle sticks. This is why a diet high in hidden sugars doesn't just lead to weight gain, it literally causes your skin to sag and your arteries to harden. You aren't just feeling older, your physical structure is becoming less functional at a microscopic level. The most important thing I learned from the research of experts like Dr. David Sinclair is that this process isn't just an inevitable part of getting older, it's something we can actively slow down. By removing these high-sugar health foods and managing our glucose spikes, we can prevent this rust from accumulating in the first place. Your body has incredible repair mechanisms, but it can't keep up if you're constantly pouring fuel on the fire. Understanding the science of glycation changed my perspective from eating for calories to eating for cellular integrity. Once you see your food as either a repair kit or a source of biological rust, making the right choice becomes much easier. The very first thing I did to take back control of my health was to stop trusting the front of the box and start auditing the back. Marketing teams spend millions of dollars to make a product look natural, organic, or heart-healthy, but the ingredient list is where the truth is hidden. I developed a habit I call the label audit. Now, whenever I pick up a product, I ignore the flashy health claims on the front and flip it over immediately. If I see a long list of words I can't pronounce, or if sugar and processed oils are listed in the first 5 ingredients, I put it back. This simple shift moved me from a passive consumer to a proactive CEO of my own biology. During my own audit, I discovered that the most dangerous ingredients are often disguised under names we don't recognize. Sugar alone has over 60 different names, like maltodextrin, barley malt, or agave nectar, all designed to hide the fact that the product is a metabolic disaster. I also look for hidden seed oils like soybean or rapeseed oil, which are often tucked into healthy salad dressings and nut milks. By performing this audit, I realized that many of the items I thought were staples were actually sources of chronic inflammation. It's not about being obsessed with every calorie. It's about ensuring that every ingredient entering my body is a building block for longevity, rather than a shortcut to aging. My rule for a successful label audit is simple: look for whole food integrity. I aim for products with 5 ingredients or fewer, things I actually recognize from a kitchen, not a chemistry lab. This one habit has saved me from thousands of hidden sugar spikes and inflammatory reactions over the last year alone. When you start auditing your labels, you stop being a victim of clever marketing and start making decisions based on data. It's the most powerful, free tool you have to protect yourselves. If you want to see an immediate change in how you feel, start your audit in your own pantry today and see how many healthy imposters are currently hiding in plain sight. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make is trying to overhaul their entire diet overnight through pure restriction. I've learned that the all or nothing approach almost always leads to failure because it creates a feeling of deprivation. Instead, I adopted a strategy I call swap, don't stop. The goal isn't to stop eating the foods you love, it's about upgrading the quality of the ingredients so they work for your longevity rather than against it. By simply finding better alternatives for my daily staples, I was able to keep my lifestyle enjoyable while removing the hidden toxins that were quietly accelerating my aging process. For example, I didn't stop eating creamy, satisfying breakfasts. I just swapped my sugary, low-fat fruit yogurt for a rich, full-fat plain Greek yogurt and added my own fresh berries. I didn't stop cooking my favorite meals. I just swapped the inflammatory seed oils for high-quality extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. These aren't just minor adjustments. They are fundamental shifts in the information you are sending to your cells. When you make these swaps, you're replacing biological rust with high-quality fuel that stabilizes your energy and protects your cellular membranes. It turns out you can still have the textures and flavors you crave without the metabolic price tag. The beauty of this approach is that it is sustainable for the long haul. When I made these upgrades, I noticed that my cravings for processed junk actually started to disappear. Because I was giving my body healthy fats and real nutrients, I felt fuller for longer, and my brain finally got the signal that it was properly nourished. I stopped viewing my diet as a list of forbidden foods and started seeing it as a series of high-performance upgrades. If you want to stay young and vibrant, you don't need to starve yourself or live on a bland diet. You just need to become an expert at swapping out the imposters for the real thing. Even with the best intentions, there are times when we're going to eat a meal that is higher in sugar or refined carbs than we'd like. Instead of stressing about it, which only raises cortisol and adds to the aging process, I started using a simple, science-backed tool I call the 10-minute glucose buffer. The concept is incredibly straightforward. Within 30 minutes of finishing a meal, I make it a non-negotiable rule to engage in 10 minutes of light movement, like a brisk walk around the block, or even just tidying up the house. This isn't about burning off calories. It's about changing how my body handles the sugar currently entering my bloodstream. The magic happens in your muscles. When you move right after eating, your muscles act like a giant sponge for glucose.
They have these specialized doors called GLUT4 transporters that open up during movement, allowing your muscles to pull sugar out of your blood to use for energy without needing a massive surge of insulin. By using this buffer, I'm able to flatten my glucose curve. Instead of a sharp mountain peak spike that causes inflammation and glycation, I create a gentle rolling hill. This means I avoid the brain fog and the energy crash that usually follow a heavy meal. And more importantly, I prevent the oxidative stress that damages my cells. This one habit has been a total game changer for my daily energy and my long-term health markers. I no longer feel like a victim to my food choices because I have a physical reset button that I can use anywhere at any time. It's one of the most powerful anti-aging secrets because it's free, it's fast, and it works instantly. If you want to protect your body from the rust caused by blood sugar spikes, don't just sit there after you eat. Get up, move for 10 minutes, and let your muscles do the heavy lifting of protecting your longevity. It's a small investment of time that pays massive dividends in how young you feel and look. To truly master your longevity, you have to move away from guesswork and adopt what I call the CEO mindset toward your health. In business, you would never run a company without looking at the balance sheet. Yet most of us run our bodies for decades without ever checking the data under the hood. I realized that if I wanted to stop aging prematurely, I needed to stop relying on how I felt and start looking at what my blood work was telling me. By measuring specific biomarkers, I shifted from being a passive observer of my health to an active manager who knows exactly which habits are moving the needle and which ones are a waste of time. The two numbers that changed everything for me were my HbA1c and my HSCRP. HbA1c gives you a 3-month average of your blood sugar, showing you the real-world impact of those healthy juices and yogurts on your system. If that number is high, you are essentially slow cooking your tissues through glycation. On the other hand, HSCRP is a high sensitivity marker for inflammation. It's the smoke detector for your body. When I first saw my results, they were a loud wake-up call that my healthy diet was actually causing internal friction. Seeing these numbers on paper took the emotion out of the process. It wasn't a failure, it was just data that allowed me to pivot my strategy. I encourage you to take this same professional approach. Stop guessing and start testing. You don't need a PhD to understand these results, you just need to track them over time. When you remove inflammatory seed oils or implement a glucose buffer, you can actually see these numbers drop, providing the ultimate motivation to keep going. Measuring the damage is the only way to prove you are actually reversing it. Once you have your baseline data, you're no longer just trying to be healthy. You are executing a precise plan to stay young. If you want to take your longevity seriously, get your blood work done and start treating your body with the same respect and oversight you'd give to your most important investment. At the end of the day, aging isn't just something that happens to us. It's the cumulative result of the choices we make every single time we pick up a fork. We've been conditioned to believe that declining energy and a slowing metabolism are inevitable parts of getting older, but the science tells a different story. We have the power to influence our biological clock by simply refusing to accept the healthy deceptions that society pushes on us. Choosing longevity isn't about being perfect, it's about being informed and taking back the remote control of your own biology. You now have the blueprint to stop the internal rust and start building a body that is resilient, vibrant, and built to last. I want you to remember that every meal is an opportunity to either fuel your future or accelerate your past. By auditing your labels, swapping out toxic oils, and using simple hacks like the 10-minute walk, you are doing more for your long-term health than any expensive anti-aging cream ever could. The transition from a standard diet to a longevity-focused lifestyle is the best investment you will ever make, and the returns are measured in extra decades of high-quality life with the people you love. You don't have to change everything today. Just start with one swap and watch how your body responds. The data doesn't lie. When you change your inputs, you change your outcomes. If you're ready to stop guessing and start mastering your health, I'm here to guide you through every step of that journey. We are building a global community of people who are rewriting the rules of aging, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep dive into the science of staying young. Let's commit to choosing longevity together, one better decision at a time.
Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video as we continue to unlock the secrets to your best, longest life.